Hey everyone, Monica with Evolution Essentials. In this video, we're going to talk about a really hard thing, and that is the first month after losing your dad. Coping tips to manage the stress of grief. I know that this is a really, really hard subject, and I'm really grateful that you stopped here to listen to what I have to say about this, because I have gone through this. And I actually started thinking about this pretty much the first month that I lost my dad. And it was this year still, so you might be watching this year, next year, a few years from now, it doesn't matter. I don't think that the information here is going to change much. And of course, what I'm about to share with you is very subjective. That is my experience. That the tips that I have for you to cope with the stress of grief are what worked and alleviated a little bit of the pain that I'm still going through, because I don't feel like my mourning has really stopped. I don't know, speaking with other people that have gone through it, I don't know if it's going to ever subside completely. If you have the luck and the blessing of having had a father that was unbelievable, and I know some of you have had that, others not, and I'm sorry that you haven't, but I think it becomes harder when you have such an incredible man for a father. And it doesn't matter if it's biological or adopted or foster, whatever reason it may be, your father, the person you consider your father, when you lose that person and you're that close to them, it's going to be devastating. And I don't care if it happens suddenly or in the span of years. You think that if it happens suddenly, very fast, and if it's an illness that develops very quickly and your loved one is gone, you may think that that's easier, but I'm not so sure that's easier. I think the impact is just as strong as if you have to gradually watch someone deteriorate with a long-term illness. So in my case, my father had pretty advanced dementia, had kidney failure, and he endured this for 6 years. It started off, not so bad, and then it got worse. But when you lose someone to dementia or Alzheimer's, and you start losing that person gradually, sometimes those losses are gradual. They're not, sometimes it's the same for a long time, and other times you feel like a huge decline suddenly. It's like, oh my God, what happened? But in our case, it was over 6 years, and obviously it got worse and worse and worse. But my point is, it really doesn't matter how you lose them. It could have been an accident. It could have been something even worse. Whatever the case may be, the loss, that pain that you are feeling now, or you have felt in the loss of your dear father, it is something that is heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching because your heart is broken. Your heart is completely broken, and you are going, in this first month, I'm telling you, going to experience a feeling of disconnect. You're going to experience a feeling of disbelief. You're going to experience extreme sadness. And you don't think that it's ever going to change. You don't think that those feelings are ever going to go away. The deep sense of loss can be something that is going to really put you in a very bad space mentally, and perhaps even physically, because you may be not able to sleep. You may not be able to function normally. And those are all things that are expected when you love someone and they're no longer in your life physically, and all you have to think about is the memories and that loss and that heart-wrenching, gut-pulling feeling. Then I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that it's going to be hard for a while. And you're going to cry. If you're somebody that cries, I cry. I cried a lot. I didn't really realize that I had so many tears in me. And crying is not a bad thing. In this case, it's let it out. You have to let everything out. You have to feel this, because this is something that is so major in your life, it really is something that's going to give you perspective. And crying is really a washing away of that heartbreak, a washing away of that pain. It's just the manifestation of all that pain and that loss. A few things that will help are crying. I'm telling you, even if it doesn't feel good and it feels desperating and it feels like, when am I going to stop crying? Just do it. Don't judge yourself badly or poorly for it. Just do it. And then the second thing that you can do that I think is probably very important, if you have the chance, is to be with family and loved ones. That puts a lot of meaning into it, because everybody has their own experience of that loss, but everybody's mourning. So everybody's hurting at some level more than others. And being around loved ones, even people that are just your support system, it could be your partner or your friend or sibling, it doesn't matter, cousin, whoever you have in your life that can support you in this time, is really important that you surround yourself with people that love you, because you don't want to be alone. I know that sometimes you are alone throughout the day. Nights are tough because you're alone with your thoughts and your mind just goes everywhere. But I really believe that being with a support system is really, really a great thing to do. So this isn't the first month we're talking about, because that's the hardest time, is now. It may be that it's hard in the long run, but the most impactful, the most crazy time, the most painful time, I feel, is right now. The third thing that has helped me, and if you've been to my channel, you might have noticed that I talk a lot about essential oils and natural solutions to take care of self and overall wellness. And I'm a big, big fan of essential oils. And there was some essential oil blends that I really used during this time, because it just really felt like the essential oil was my buddy, if you know what I mean. I used a blend called Balance, which is very grounding. I actually traveled with it because I had to travel to go back home and help take care of everything. And so Balance was one that I knew that it was a very supportive oil that I had with me. I would diffuse this, I would put this in my hands, and I would smell my palms. And another one that I used is an oil blend called Console. I thought that was appropriate for this time. So there's other ones that you can use, whatever oils that really you connect with, that smells that you like, that comfort you, that you can use. So there's no right or wrong. Those are the two oil blends that I used the most for me. And also lavender, because lavender is very, very calming, and balanced with Serenity, which is lavender based, is an oil blend that's lavender based, are really a great stress reliever for me. So you can actually make a roller bottle of that and carry it with you. Roll it on your wrists if you want. Like I said, put it in the palms of your hands. You can put it on your chest, under your nose, whatever helps. Number 4 that I'm going to share with you is pictures. And I know how it can be so painful going through photos, but it also can be very therapeutic, because that person is still there. I told myself I wasn't going to cry about this, but it happens. A good box of Kleenex is in order. I recommend that. That's like my bonus tip, is Kleenex. Excuse me for a second while I blow my nose. So pictures, I was talking about, photos are so important. And my father really loved photos. He loved taking photos, and he was super photogenic. So going through photos, my brother and I ended up doing a slideshow of photos from when he was little until the year before he passed. It was really difficult for him not to look good in the picture. He was a very handsome man, and so photos really bring back moments and special moments, and it's almost like a little bit of their soul is in the picture still. So remember what I said, that this is hard stuff. It's still hard stuff to talk about it, even though it's been some months. But apart from photos, one of the things you can do, and don't think that you're crazy about it, is you can talk to your dad. Do all this makeup. When you're by yourself, you can still talk to him. I wouldn't recommend doing it in public, because you might be deemed as a little nuts, but hey, if you listen to his essence and his spirit, it will always be with you. People say that he's in your heart always. And here I go again, always ugly crying. Are there people that look good crying? I don't know. Thinking about him is also something that you can do. And I know that you may not be able to think of anything else. And that's really the truth. So it's part of that process. It's your reality right now. And don't beat yourself up for doing that, thinking of him all the time. Sometimes it doesn't seem like there's anything else happening, because that is what is happening in your world right now. One of the things that you can do to kind of help through this process is write about it. I'm a huge proponent in writing, and you can just write down your thoughts. And I actually did a video on this. If you go right here, it's about how to write your way out of stress and anxiety with bonus prompts going into 2021 and beyond. So check that out, because they're really easy prompts that I give you, but you can definitely gear that toward your dad. I'm telling you, writing is very therapeutic. You don't have to share anything with anyone. You can just burn those pages if you want, throw them in the trash, shred them, recycle them. I don't care what you do. It's really more for you, and it's an emotional process for you to get rid of. If you haven't done already, I would really, really love if you subscribe right here. And so we can just keep hanging out like this, and you can watch whenever I upload a new video. Aside from writing, another thing that I want you to keep in mind is signs. I know that's is serendipitous to look for signs, but I really believe that sometimes certain things happen for a reason. And if you see things multiple times, it really is a sign to pay attention to. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a friend of mine and who lost her son, her oldest son, several years ago. And that was very tragic because he was 11 years old. And I asked her, I was going through this in the first few days, and I asked her if she had any tips for me. And she really talked about signs. She said to not dismiss signs, and that the signs would be so evident and so obvious that there would be no mistaking of the message for you. So I was like, all right, we'll see about that. So I hung up the phone with her, and I checked my email on my phone, and I had the first email was my dad's name, and it says, "We want you back." And it was Flying Magazine. Now, my father was a pilot, and he subscribed to Flying Magazine years ago. He hadn't gotten it in years. I mean, we hadn't renewed the subscription in a long, long time. And Flying Magazine wanted him back. And I thought that is such an evident slap in the face sign that my dad is still with me, that I couldn't tell you what was more evident. After I just had that conversation, I'm telling you, it was the second after. Be open to receiving signs and exploring the meaning of life and the meaning and the lessons that your dad has taught you. I know that these tips may not solve anything for you. They may help maybe a little bit, just diminish that pain and that stress of grief. And I just want you to know that I feel you, and I'm sending you a big virtual hug, because I know how hard this is. It still is hard. I'm not going to lie to you, but I hope these tips help, because it doesn't feel good right now, and I know it. But all these things can just move the needle a little bit towards feeling a little less pain, even if it's just momentary, if that makes sense. So I hope you got value from this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. See you next time.